Here comes the nasty gram.
Send a priest to save my soul, forget it.
Welcome back to the Nastygram RPG podcast. This is Cyberpunk Red Rising, Episode 4, Subroot.
Feeling it too hard is the poison to the heart of a cynic.
Members of the board, thank you for your time. This is Dakari Azaric, a.k.a. Sir Rat. Sir Rat is a self-proclaimed urban street artist. He's a vandal and an upstart. His, quote, artwork is of a 19th century style called pointillism, from his namesake, Surreality. His true art, however, is his ability to incite people through controversial video games. He has a tendency to be boisterous, larger than life. Larger, in fact, than anything he has ever done himself. Surat is attempting to make a name for himself. And this art form of his is his way to do that.
Welcome back to the Nastygram RPG podcast. This is Cyberpunk Red Rising. We start with a view of a sprawling metropolis. A blanket of low cloud cover is backlit in a sickly red of the setting sun. The light reflects off the black-tinted windows of the haphazard skyscrapers. Glimmering red, they rise out of the city like bloody protrusions. That same sunlight passes through the jagged geometric ruins of the old corporate center. The buildings torn apart by the pocket nuke that detonated during the Fourth Corporate War 23 years ago. Lights that never turn off begin to dominate the skyline. Holograms and projections, neon banner ads, they create the illusion of vibrancy. But underneath those frail colors, there is a harsh reality of a city that has traded its soul for tech. Looking closer, we see the traffic of AVs and drones as they flit through and around the buildings. A light rain drifts over the city. From above, there is a quiet hum of energy, but as we descend into the crowded streets, that hum turns into a maelstrom of competing sounds. Cars, people, generators, loud speakers, gunshots, AV turbines, marketplaces, nightclubs, doomsday prophets screaming their dark visions. This is Night City, where everyone is fighting for their survival. Welcome, everyone. This is Dan, your keyboard cowboy, and I'm joined by...
What's good, fam? Matt, be playing Mr. the Dancing Gunslinger.
This is Devin, and I'll be playing Switch, Netrunner, Edge Runner, Probationary.
Hey, folks, this is John. I am playing Yuri, your sniper from another... There's nothing that rhymes with sniper.
And this is Jake, and I'm playing Sir Rat, artist, activist, edge runner.
We left off last. You had left Ether just in time as your search results for finding the GPS tag where this underground fight had taken place pinged Guru and his insurance company as to your location and what you were looking at. The four of you are in the back of this combat cab that you've paid 150 eddies for a 25-minute drive. You're going to a place where someone might hire a combat cab. You're going into one of the most lethal combat zones in Night City.
Sorry, we're going to the location that was on the phone, right?
Correct. Okay. What you were able to find is the GPS coordinates that were in the metadata of the video file of that underground fight that you watched in the office of the Baron.
But I ask Switch. I say, so does Gore or the insurance company or whatever, do they know what information you were looking at?
Specifically, I don't think so. What happens is when they want to add these security measures, they go to someone, they say, they essentially tag a bunch of the information in a hard drive or whatever, and then all of that information gets tagged with this black ice. They know we were looking around for something. I don't know. I don't know how good this guy is. I don't know if he has a net runner. I could find out.
You sure about that, Choom? Made a real rookie mistake back there. You're gonna get us killed.
Well, if you can find out, then he can definitely find out.
If I had more time, I would have been able to do it cleaner.
That's not how any of this works. Edge running isn't about taking your time and being careful and being clean. It's fast, it's dirty, it's dangerous. If you're going to run with us, you got to learn that.
You know, I'm not some green choom that you just pulled out of a terminal. I used to do this too. But back when in my day, we picked our battles. We chose the right ones. They weren't all easy, but we knew what we were doing. We were on the same page.
Keep telling yourself that, kid.
And that's what got you that fucking piss-filled apartment? Being on the same fucking page? Knowing what you were doing?
And that's what got my brother landed in the combat zone with nowhere to go. Looking for what? Answers? Bullshit. I'm trying to call Bugbear.
No answer.
Your brother's doing what we're all doing. Trying to make it here. Make it out alive.
Why weren't you there with him? You have this guy offer a job. He doesn't come to you?
We didn't get offered a job.
We weren't contacted. We're not his babysitter. He's a big boy.
Yeah, he got into his own shit. Owed a fucking debt he couldn't pay. Didn't ask us for fucking help. Sent you instead.
There's only so many times I can tell that kid to keep it close, you know? But he doesn't listen, so fuck it.
I told you, though. I told you what I think. I think it's all set up. I think Baron wanted you. I think he's using your brother to get to you. To get to whatever sort of tech or thing they're hiding in there.
Baron's assuming whatever facility we're going to probably isn't your run-of-the-mill Arasaka office. It's a research facility. We need someone skilled, someone who has been through this before. Mr. Experience. Bugbear wasn't it, but you are. At least I hope you are.
I'm going to use one of my plans.
Okay. What are your plans? How do they work?
I have to spend a genius point.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a selection of 4 of them that I made out of the possible smart hero and the mastermind specific plans.
Do you get genius points by working at the Apple Store?
I do.
You gotta go to the
I
bar.
worked a long time for these. They're on my ID badge. You can they have little stickers for
Excellent.
each one.
25 years service.
Yeah.
You get a sticker.
And an extra day of vacation.
And I have 4 total. I have spent 3 by using this, and it includes this one here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's called I Had Them Bugged.
Okay.
Someone I met within the last 24 hours. I was thinking Baron, when Rose gave me access to that terminal.
Okay.
I implanted something very, very basic, a little basic program that just allows me to turn on their microphone whenever I want. And I get to ask questions of the GM. I get 2 questions at level 3. I can ask 1 question of the GM about that person or their activities. The GM will give you a true answer to your question if you could reasonably have learned the information from recording the actions and communications.
Okay.
The GM might refuse for the sake of the story, but if they do, you may ask another question following the same guidelines. If no appropriate information, blah, blah, blah. I get my genius point back. You can reveal additional information to me if you choose.
Got it.
Does Baron already know what is stored at Zone 6?
No. And you know this because you have kind of throughout the night, especially kind of during these downtimes where you're in transit and you're not talking to the rest of the team, you've kind of flipped it on and listened. You've heard him lining up potential buyers for the information. So you know, based on that, that he doesn't know what's there. The number is much larger than what he's going to pay you.
Does Baron, or maybe not even Baron, does Rose know who Switch is beyond their meeting?
Yes. She knows that you are Bugbear's brother and that you have worked in the past.
Maybe with some of Baron's clients.
Yep. And that you've done net running as well. You know this because at one point he was confirming the addresses of everyone. And she mentioned your name, or she simply said Bugbear's brother is at such and such a location.
Okay. I'll chew on that. I'm also rereading that contract.
The rest of you've kind of crossed over the water now into, it's almost like a peninsula. The downtown area that used to be sort of the beating heart of the city, but now parts of it are sectioned off as being completely off limits due to the radiation from the bomb that went off 20 years ago or more now. Other parts are in open gang fights in terms of territory battles, or really just completely abandoned in terms of infrastructure, in terms of rebuilding. The area is too hot, both in radiation and in fighting. And then there's sort of the surrounding areas around there, which all have their sort of different breakdowns, different groups, different organizations that claim rights to those areas. So it's a very contested area, and it's a very dangerous area. The coordinates that you got bring you to the old Japantown, is the neighborhood that you're going into, or the district. Switch is able to discern that where these GPS coordinates are is more than likely topographically not on top of the surface, but below the surface where this fight happened. As you guys move through the city, more than one occasion the cab gets hit by weapons fire, but it plows through. It's heavily armored. The cab driver he's pretty quiet. He's not asking a lot of questions. He's taking you to the coordinates that you had put in with your request.
You know, this guy has a stipulation in this contract that we can't bill him for mileage and receipts from any transportation. Like, he specifically states that we can't do that.
Yeah, it's pretty standard.
Yeah, that's standard boilerplate.
You guys fucking read this shit?
These contracts, man.
I used to read them, but not anymore.
Yeah, fuck that.
He pays the Eddies. Who the fuck cares about the contract?
No one respects the contract anymore. You know?
No, I mean, look, he's either going to pay it or he's not. You know, and if he doesn't, he's going to have a lot of trouble finding other edge runners to work for him.
As you kind of say those last words, the cab pulls up to it looks like sort of an abandoned area. The immediate space outside of the cab has a slope that runs down away from the road. It's paved concrete, and it kind of funnels into a large drainage tunnel. You know, these are called the waterways. Anyone who's probably seen or been to California, Southern California, has seen the big runoff waterways. Vegas has a whole series of tunnels underneath it that people live in now, that are mostly there for flash flooding. Because it's so dry in these areas, if rain comes down, then they need large kind of tunnels for the runoff. And here, kind of in this early evening light, there's no street lights, there's nothing on around here. It's this dark, menacing looking tunnel that leads down into the ground. The cab stops, the doors open. He doesn't say anything. He just waits for you to get out.
You sure about this spot?
This place is underground. I don't know if it was buried or since this video was taken.
Yuri gets out and does a cursory scan of the area, just doing his watchful duty.
This is his jam.
You can hear gunfire in the distance. You see some AV drones fly through some of the buildings. But at the moment where you are, looks pretty quiet.
Yeah, I get out as well.
Looks clear so far. A couple blocks down, I hear a fight going on, but should stay out of our way.
We should stay out of theirs.
Yeah.
Down there, down that slope, that drainage tunnel should take us in. There's probably a network of them underneath.
This is a crazy place to have a fight. I mean, like, people are coming out here to watch this all the way out here.
Yeah, it's not a crazy place for a research and development site, though. Not for one of these corpos. They want them hidden. This place used to be different.
Do we know if that brain dance was taken after the war or before?
After.
After, okay.
Sorry.
I think it was relatively recently, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
relatively. The date on it, I don't know if you saw it, but it's it's not particularly important, but
Yeah.
it was in recent history.
I don't know. Whatever it was a big deal. If you're going to drag people all the way out here for a fight or whatever, must have meant something.
Make him climb down a fucking drainage ditch?
Well, you said, I mean, it's some sort of research and development. Maybe they weren't really here to watch the fight. Maybe they were here to watch something else. See how some sort of tech performs or something like that.
That's if you think this Goro was involved with them.
I don't know.
He had some serious chrome. I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, he was here for the same reason everyone else was. You know, you got some sort of crazy, pre-war tech. You want to show people how well it works, right? Bring them down here, let them watch a fight.
You hear a voice come over the speaker in the cab.
Do you want me to keep the clock running?
Come on, let's go. He kind of calls back into the...
I nod. I look at Switch and I nod.
He has this resigned face as he's counting the eddies in his head.
The doors close. He pulls off to the side, but it doesn't drive off. The four of you kind of stand at the top of this sloping ramp. You can see that there are other areas in kind of the surrounding area where more of these drainage ramps come into this main chute and empty down into this tunnel. Right now, there's a little water that runs off from one. It had been raining a little earlier. And as you walk down this ramp and you get closer to the opening of the tunnel, you see a tag, Surat, above the tunnel. It's kind of a traditional graffiti tag, and it's not in English, though. It says, La sciate ogni speranza vocentra te.
I didn't write down what languages I speak.
Anyone speak any other languages?
I have
Japanese.
written down English and bad English.
How does it work in this? Is there a language skill? I don't know.
I don't know.
I believe
we'll
you-
use our
You get languages
old-
based on like backgrounds and stuff, but and you can
Yeah,
add them.
probably.
Yeah.
We can also say that if you've got an int mod, you know, for however many your
One per-
modifier is,
Yeah, one
per-
extra per bonus.
Yep.
Fuck it, it's not a agent translate at this
I'm
point
sure
in time.
there is.
There,
I'm sure.
there absolutely is.
How about this? Can I maybe roll streetwise and see if I recognize like the tag, like the
Sure.
artist or
Yep,
whatever?
absolutely.
I get advantage on this if it has to do with my art
Yep.
from my creative profession.
Nice.
I rolled a 19, so a 23.
You recognize the artist. His name's Dante.
I say that's Dante's work. What language? is-
Italian.
I say that's Italian. I don't speak it, but he's Italian.
What do you know about him?
you know that he does a lot of religious iconography, but in a like satirical way.
Mhm.
So he'll have a lot of depictions of like, the crucifixion, but it's like the public that's being crucified.
I say he actually DM'd me when I did that job where we met, Mister. The
Biotech.
Yeah, the biotech place. When I tagged that place, he does a lot of similar stuff, like Jesus and stuff like that.
That was you, Biotechnica.
Yeah,
He switches impressed.
I was there too.
well, you were doing a job.
Yeah.
I was tagging the building.
As you guys are kind of discussing this, looking up at it, as you got closer to the entrance, you can kind of see it runs back maybe 50 yards, maybe a little more than that. And you can see that there's some sort of light source down there from somewhere. It's not direct. You can't see its immediate source, but for whatever reason, part of the tunnel down there is lit ever so slightly.
Looks like the lights are on. Let me see.
Is this some sort of fucking meta bullshit? Dante and the Inferno and that fucking... That was like a book or some shit, right? I remember my dad used to have one of those fucking things.
Probably why he calls himself Dante.
Fucking so full of their goddamn selves.
Switch.
Not you.
Do you have a translation program in that brain of yours?
He's looking on his agent and he sees the call failed to Bugbear. He just says, "Abandon hope, ye all who enter here."
Yuri is kind of making his. I'm going to try stealthily make my way down the corridor a little bit further to try to get a sense of where that light's coming from and maybe what's producing it.
Sure.
So yeah, I think it's like a movie or something, right?
Yeah,
From like
yeah.
19th century, like a 2D movie, something about Dante's fires, right?
Yeah. Spiral, hell, some fucking...
I don't really like horror movies. Like, start walking.
The three of you are kind of slowly walking down as Yuri has already taken point and has moved forward. Yuri, you're maybe 70, 80 feet into the tunnel when you can see now for the first time there are devices set up around the tunnel. And you know that it's a sort of jammer. It shields noise. It's an or sound canceling. And you know that you're on the outside, so you can't hear whatever's going on the other side.
I see. He kind of holds up his hand. Does it work? It would work both ways, as far as
yeah, they wouldn't be listening or couldn't hear you coming from the other way.
Okay. He holds up his hand and he says, "Look at those. It's like noise jammers. Whatever is going on the other side, they're trying to keep quiet. I can't imagine it would matter in a place like this."
You can see now kind of more with a little more light, especially since it's so dark in here as you've descended. It looks like the tunnel you're in comes into some sort of intersection and that the light is kind of spilling from one side, from the right-hand side.
Is there a way to get to the corner past the jammers, but without going fully into the T-junction?
Other than just kind of peeking your head around? No.
Yeah, I mean, that basically I don't want to have to run into the middle of the T-junction and see see or hear what's going on.
You'll pass through that sound field, but then you'll be good to go.
He'll kind of hold his hand up. He'll go, "Let me check it out." And he'll kind of hold his back up against the wall and kind of scoot his way up to the corner and take a quick peek around.
I just stop at the other side of the jammer, just wait, very casually, kind of not paying attention to what he's doing because this is what he does. And I say, I think it was maybe like a video game, actually.
What? Console? No, fuck.
Your hands are kind of itching too because there's graffiti down this whole tunnel. Yuri.
Yeah.
You are standing, or you've kind of crept along the edge of that wall. As soon as you pass through that sound jammer, it is loud.
Yeah.
You hear people, a lot of people. It's so many so that you can't tell how many there are.
General vibe check, elation, fighting, partying.
Conversational,
Okay.
but a lot of people talking. You can hear music in the background faintly, kind of competing noises.
Like a gathering kind of thing.
Yep. You would guess hundreds, maybe, just by the sound of it.
He pokes his head around the corner briefly to see what he can see down the lit side. And I assume this noise, do I feel like this noise is coming from the lit side or the other side?
The lit side.
Okay.
Because it's lit,
Lit, dude.
for the kids.
Yep.
Yeah, it's clearly coming from that direction. And from, as you pop your head around about 40, 50 feet around, you can see dozens, if not more, of people just kind of milling around, speaking to one another, like in groups. There's a bunch of different booths, it looks like. There is any number of different areas where people have gathered to either talk or discuss things, or, there's a barrel where there's a fire going where people are like, have their hands over it.
Yeah.
There's people eating. There's like a little stand where someone has like a kiosk that they're serving some sort of food, some sort of kibble.
In this part of every post-apocalyptic movie, there's also always someone welding. There's always sparks. 100%. For some reason,
Yep.
there's sparks.
Can I make a search roll to kind of get a sense of what this is, like what this gathering, is it permanent? Sure. Is it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I fucking rolled a 1.
The people here, no one seems to be on guard.
Yeah.
How about that?
Okay.
It seems very casual. People are very comfortable here. I will say that most people here too look pretty transient.
Yeah.
There's no one here with like a lot of flashy equipment or
doesn't look like a bunch
garb.
of edge runners or doesn't look like
no.
Yeah.
Suits.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not a bunch of suits.
He pops his head back through the jammer and says, "There's a large group of people, a couple dozen down the lit side of the tunnel. Some sort of gathering or a market, maybe. I'm not sure. I couldn't really get any conversation.
I walk by.
But and then my sound.
Let's go talk to him.
You walk out into the hallway. You see a couple people turn and look at you as you're walking down, but no one really pays much attention to you. And out in front, as you see this mass of people, again, a lot of them doing transactions, either buying or selling kind of generic goods, nothing fancy, kind of basic run-of-the-mill stuff. You see kind of beyond them, it looks like a large bus. Its wheels and axles have been removed at some point, and it's kind of jammed diagonally across this tunnel, which is probably nearly 20 feet wide. And the middle of the bus looks like at one point it had some sort of small explosion, and there's a hole blown straight through it, which now seems to service as a doorway to even more people, like crowds. And do any of you have much experience? Actually, I'll say Mister. You have maybe more experience with going to night markets than some of the other folks here.
Fair.
You know that this is, by all accounts, a night market. They sell a lot of kind of generic goods that are hard to get because of inflation, in corporate taxation, basic goods that are usually, a lot of these things probably came out of the back of a truck, that kind of stuff. And there are hundreds of people. There's probably 30 or 40 in front of this kind of bus area where they're just kind of gathered in different groups talking. And then there's stalls that you can see kind of through this doorway to the bus.
Kind of makes sense that there's one of these fucking out here. Market. Well, I'll tell you what. Whatever we want, other side of that fucking bus.
Well, hopefully it's not as hard to get into as the Coliseum.
Well, keep an eye out for that symbol. Maybe there's that facility is here somewhere. Maybe they don't know what it is. They're just out here next to it.
You guys mill kind of through the crowd in towards this entrance. You can see there are people who, most people here are armed. This is a very dangerous area up above. And, but people are coming and going down different passageways. And once you're through that bus area, no one stops you. It's sort of this mishmash of everything. There are neon lights hanging kind of haphazardly. Old ones lay next to kind of dead ones, and the new lights are simply stacked together. And you can see the power source. The wires are running down to battery terminals that are kind of open and lying on the floor. Everything's cobbled together here. There's huts sort of side by side with booths that have supplies stacked and guarded. It's definitely a night market. Most of the wares here are pretty low grade products. But you do see people selling pistols, ammo, weapons. Anything you could kind of really need on the street is here. There's another booth where you can kind of see a spray of blood, and it's clearly a Ripper Doc who's actively installing a jack into someone's head with a bone saw in his hand, kind of just spraying everywhere. It's so unsanitary. It's so gross, but it's cheap and available. And you pass through this kind of ongoing hallway into another intersection, and there's just more and more of this. It's a labyrinth. Where do you guys go?
We could just try to talk to someone, ask them if they know where this place is.
I need a new piece.
Yeah?
Yeah. This place is, it's not the Coliseum, but anything spicy is going to turn out the same way. Everyone's got chrome. Everyone's got guns.
Well, let's get you a gun. And, maybe the guy selling it knows a bit more.
Anyone got Streetwise?
Yeah.
Yep. No.
I do, yeah.
Why don't you make a Streetwise check for me?
24 for Yuri.
25.
Dirty
for the
20.
kid.
You're pretty quick to assess which one of these booths, as you're moving your way through, based on the quality of weapons, which one seems like they're a more serious arms dealer rather than someone that's tipped over a vendit and robbed it of all its goods. And you're able to settle on one pretty quickly that has the right sort of munitions and guns that you'd be comfortable with.
I'm looking for a stun gun.
He kind of raises his eyebrow. You want to tickle someone to death?
No, I want to put someone down and make them shit their pants. Do you have what I need?
Yeah.
We tend to get attacked by a lot of robots, too.
That's fair. The insurance companies are trying to cover their life insurance policies.
At what point, though, does it cost them too much? I mean, how many robots do we have to blow up?
It's a great question. I hope you find out. He as he's kind of talking over his shoulder, he brings out, it's called a Lightning Taser 2829.
It's not called the Shocker.
Oh, it should be called the Shotgun.
Cartridges?
He puts 3 down on the table.
It's got a USB plug.
Yeah, do I have to charge this thing up, or is this these good old fashioned?
I am a professional. Of course, this is already pre-charged for you.
Well, thank you. I have a wealth of 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jesus.
You can afford this weapon.
Yep.
Does his booth look like not permanent, but like it doesn't pack up easily, like he's been here?
It looks like he's been here.
I say, how long you been here?
Here in the waterways? You see him kind of, he's looking up, counting. 2 years.
Damn. Let me ask you something. I heard a rumor that there was a place down here where people fight.
Yeah, the sewer. It happens. People take bets. People desperate. They take a chance.
They take a chance against who?
Whoever else is desperate enough to do it. The fights are to the death.
Is it actually in the sewer?
It's just one of the lower sections of the waterways. It's not hard to find. It's tagged. He points to a wall, and you can see there are a number of different titles.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is the sewer, and it's just got a tagged arrow that points down one of the alleyways.
All right.
You need anything else? He's looking at you with your taser.
I'm looking at some of this stuff.
You need something bigger than that, Switch.
Some of these guns in this book some of these weapons are very funny. Let's see. I have advanced weapon training.
Ooh.
Yeah, how about that? And there's a shotgun, pump action. It's an old Remington.
He grabs it off the wall, tosses it to you.
Thing's an antique.
Catch it.
You sure it fires?
That is a guarantee. That is an absolute guarantee for all of my weapons.
They still make ammo for those things?
Sure do. He tosses you a box of shells as well.
Pleasure.
All mine.
How about you?
Fuck you want?
Do you need any? Do you need a re-up?
I had to vend it.
He glances kind of beneath your jacket, and he sees one of your guns. What kind are they?
They are Spec Op silenced SMGs.
That is a very fine weapon you have there.
Yeah, I fucking know.
You interested in selling it? I don't see a lot of them come through here. It's military grade.
He's gonna stare. Mister's gonna stare directly at him. Eyes gonna twitch a little bit.
Yeah, no. Those are like his children, or like his girlfriend, or like his sister. I don't know, one of those things, but, couldn't part. He's going to be buried with him.
Fair. I accept it. I hope to be buried with this one right here. He pats his hip, and he has the biggest revolver you have ever seen in your life. It says Desert Eagle on the side of it. He kind of gives you a little salute and turns his attention to one of the other customers.
He had some Militech stuff up there.
Yeah, Grant, can we fucking go?
I guess we're going deeper.
Does that guy look like he might be, I don't know.
A narc?
Yeah.
He buys and sells things. Could be guns, could be information.
A lot of people here, I think, come and go, and anyone can get in. We did. So watch out before we get eyes on us. We get in, we get out.
I point to the sign. I say, let's go then.
Yeah, Yuri's keeping a real eye out for people who are watching us at all.
There are people that give you long stares, but you think that's as much as them being kind of on guard as you are. Through the next 10, 15 minutes, you guys meander through a number of different tunnels, always following the signs for the sewer. At one point, you're pretty confident you've gotten there. There is a fight going on, but it's between two robots, actually.
Does this look like the place from the brain dance?
You're starting to see things that you recognize.
Okay.
The overall kind of background, the concrete pillars that seem to kind of puncture the area, this large kind of more cavernous area. It looks like this would be an area that captures a lot of the runoff, and it continues to be pushed off, probably out to sea in the surrounding areas.
Switch is looking for security infrastructure, cameras. If there are people that seem to be, flanking a doorway, they dress similarly.
There's not a lot in terms of like physical structures here, other than the concrete that the place is built out of. Everything else seems very temporary. You don't see much in the way of cameras. The fight that's going on right now is very kind of half-hearted.
Okay.
There's only a few people there. It looks like someone...
Robots don't fight with passion.
It's no fun when
Right.
robots are fighting each other.
You're thinking that maybe this is just a bet that someone had,
Okay.
that they're following through on. But otherwise, the place is pretty empty.
What about the lights? Let's say if, you know,
They kind of dot the area. Again, they're independent. They're hooked up to batteries. And you guys can see that this place is maybe the size of football field.
So I start walking around looking at the walls, looking at all the tags, and I'm looking to see if any of them, I don't know, indicate an area that we might be looking for, like something that's off limits or...
That symbol that we saw on the brain dance, was it on a door or on a wall?
It was on a door built into a wall. It looked almost the equivalent of like a blast door.
Okay.
2 large doors, zone 6, and then there was the symbol of the 2 triangles in a circle.
The first thing that strikes you, Surat, is a smell, a terrible smell. And you're not completely stranger to what a decomposing body smells like.
I like try to put my shirt over my mouth just to realize I'm wearing paper clothes, and it doesn't really help. I imagine they're just like all white with like QR codes. So if you have like an AR overlay, they look like a tuxedo or something.
Yuri's gonna try to find those double doors while Rat is kind of looking at the graffiti.
You've moved to the perimeter, Yuri, and you're kind of on the search. Switch and Mister, what are you doing?
Mister's watching the fight, bobbing and weaving and like shadow boxing, pretending like he's facing one of the robots.
I think Switch wants to stay close to Yuri. Maybe not right at his heel, but sort of following him.
The two of you work the perimeter, and the smell brought you to another part of this area, Surat. And pretty soon you can kind of see the debris of what looks like, a crowd that was watching a fight, and you see a heavy brown smear. And as you follow that smear, behind one of the pillars is a body sitting there that has probably been dead nearly 2 weeks.
Gross.
Beyond it, you see the doors. You realize that this was probably the same person
From the video.
of the video,
Yep.
but because of the decomposition,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to tell.
I go find you guys, and I say, I think I found the guy whose brain dance we watched.
That's not what we're looking for.
Well, I mean, he died right in front of the door.
You found the door.
They just fucking left him here.
I nod.
Jesus.
I point over to like the area, and I yo, mister.
Yay!
Don't scare him.
I don't think he's taking his meds today.
Yeah, that's probably good.
Makes his way over. No, you fucking find it?
Think so?
Hold your breath.
Why? Fuck.
I walk around the corner.
He doesn't care.
The four of you now stand in front of these two large doors, kind of that traditional industrial look. The yellow warning signs on the outside of it. It says Zone 6, and the symbol of that corporation, Onizuka, that corporate logo. The doors are sealed. There is an access terminal next to it. It looks like people have tried to hotwire it unsuccessfully. It's sitting there. It does have power, but it's been broken into.
They've made it worse.
They've made it worse. Yes.
I look around and I say, it's just fucking random. They just saw this on a brain dance. These people were just down here doing their thing, and this happened to be in the background of a brain dance.
Switch has this very pensive look on his face, and he's just sort of nodding, but he's not listening. And he walks over to the to that little terminal. He has his hands on his hips for a little while. He's tapping his foot. He's looking at it, but not touching it. And then he reaches into a pocket on the inside of his jumpsuit, and he pulls out a little pack of tools. And I have an ability called tech support. I have advantage on any computers check to repair computers. What he's thinking, and he sees all of these wires and all this stuff pulled out, but it still has power. So it's in some low power mode. It might have sort of reverted into just like a boot, like a
BIOS or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's going to try and he's going to restore like enough power to like any other internal systems,
Sure.
connected networks, things like that, to try and get this thing going. I got a 16 and a 19 on the dice. That's a 25 for computers.
At first, you looked at the mess and you were concerned. But what is reassuring is that it's old. So it's pretty outdated in terms of security. And as you begin kind of identifying the parts and pieces that people have broken and understanding what's been done, you are now certain that you'll be able to hotwire it effectively and provide enough power to the mechanisms that open the door rather than the power that keeps them locked.
Cool.
So you're there for about 5 to 10 minutes working away at this.
Yuri is kind of posted up on the pillar that leads into this little alcove, just like crossed arms, leaning on it, watching as if he's watching the fight, but he's really looking to see if anyone is paying attention to them.
The only thing you see, Yuri, or the only thing that kind of jumps out at you as you're kind of scanning the area, you see again these little pools of light as most of this area is in darkness. You see other bodies lying there. People just forgotten down here. Some part of you wonders why it's not like completely overrun, but you realize that it's called the sewer, and it's likely that these bodies end up getting washed away and brought out to sea.
Yeah. This is a fucked up place. You die in a sewer and then you're left here to decompose until it rains enough to be washed away. Forgotten forever.
I was wondering what the fuck that smell was.
Sir Rat is spray painting.
Smells better than your fucking sweatshirt, you disgusting fuck.
You can just hear the shk, the rattle, shk, shk, shk in the background as Surratt works.
He's making tombstones and flowers, like around the bottom edge of the wall, not covering any of Dante's work. But
Nice.
Yuri pulls out a night goggle scope, like a monocular from his pack, and just kind of scans the dark areas, just make sure there's nothing surprising.
Just bodies. You see a couple of people who look like they're propped up against the wall. You're not 100% sure that they're dead or alive.
Yeah.
Some people may be sleeping down here, but
Fucked up
it's a
place
pretty
to
grim
sleep.
place.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Got it.
The doors kind of make that sound for a second, and then you go back to it. A few more minutes pass, and then you hear that heavy kind of pneumatic sound as these doors begin to open.
Now I got it.
Rat, do you believe in ghosts?
Like, you mean like actual ghosts?
Yeah, I don't know.
Start looking around.
I mean, if there's ghosts, this place would be fucking crawling with them.
You think there's ghosts in there? I looked at the doors as they open.
Maybe.
Can you shoot a ghost?
It's a good question.
Mister, can you shoot a ghost?
If ghosts were fucking real, Night City would be flooded with them, you fucking potatoes. And Mister's just going to start walking into the opening doors.
As you march into this darkness, beyond the doors, it is pitch black. The corridor is about 15 feet wide. And what immediately strikes you, the air that's coming through, is that it's dry versus the kind of damp cement and death smell that you've been kind of standing in these last 20 minutes. And as you walk down the corridor, do you leave the doors open
No.
or close them?
Close them.
No, you always close the door behind you.
Always close the
We
door.
don't want a bunch of
That's
fuckheads
a
coming in here.
Netrunner saying.
Anyone got any light sources?
Yeah, Mister has lights on each of his machine guns. So he pulls out Jane and Fonda, clicks the buttons, and 2 LED flashlights light out into the darkness like two little eyes searching, and he just starts waving them across the room.
Just waving machine guns around. You can see the like kind of spotlights as they cross across the corridor that you're in. Anyone who wants to have some sort of light source can. I mean, even your agent has at least a small one. And as the light illuminates different areas of the tunnel, it looks primarily like it's a utility shaft. There are pipes and wires in kind of organized bundles that run off into the distance. And it is broken into, the floor has kind of painted areas, kind of bracketed areas as you go along stretches of this tunnel that are numbered. It looks like a very organized corporate way to understand where different sectors are, what utilities are located in which area, and in case anything were to go wrong, they'd know where to find said area. As you begin walking down, it's about 3 or 4 minutes in this darkness, and you reach an opening. The opening is kind of disorienting because the light, as you shine it out there, doesn't seem to hit anything immediately. As you look at the hallway where you're walking, it kind of opens up. There's some sort of walkway, and then it ends. You don't know what's beyond it. Your light doesn't seem to reach the other side. It's not a very strong light. So,
What is this place? Yuri kind of walks onto the walkway and like not fully test the strength of it, and
you stop just before you kind of breach the corridor that you're coming out of. You can see that there are sensors at this opening, motion sensors.
He was about to, his foot was up, about to step, and he says, "Wait, there's sensors. I'm not sure if they're on, but they're..."
Switch, does this place have power?
He's been thinking this whole time we've been walking, trying to figure out if that is the case, if there's power. Mostly he's listening and trying to feel he puts his hand on a wall or tries to feel through his feet if there's any sort of hum, any sort of life. He's very conscientious of corners and wire management and how someone might, where and how wires might be hidden, panels that don't seem to be sort of flush, anything like that. He has a couple ideas of what this place might be, but he's not vocalizing any opinions yet.
The place looks pretty unmolested. There's no graffiti down here. There's no debris that you can see. As you kind of put your hand on the wall, and you can feel that faint hum of power, But it doesn't look like this place is fully operational because you can see lights above you and they're not on.
Place like this, they would have had transformers, things, part of the grid specifically for them. And I don't know. I don't think anyone would completely zero out an Arasaka subsidiary R&D facility. I think they probably forgot about it. It's not running on a lot of power, but security systems might still be activated. Most of them local. This place is clean. No one's been in here.
You think you can take down these sensors?
Maybe, but we're not going to find a terminal in the hallway. Everything's going to be concentrated. The terminals are going to be in stations. These security mechanisms, they're probably sophisticated as fuck.
Well, what kind of sensors are they?
Probably IR, maybe even radar, lidar. They could have anything.
I actually take out my night vision monocle again, kind of sweep over the area, see if they are infrared beams, and then see if I can see anything further into this darkness.
It's a very simple IR beam.
Yeah.
It doesn't look sophisticated to the point of a trap, even.
So we just need to not touch them?
Yeah, that should be it. As long as they're beams, they're not casting a net, we should be able to walk right through.
You think for a second, and you realize that the door you just fixed and were to force open was pretty old.
Yeah.
And a thought occurs to you. And you pass your hand through the IR beam. And lights flick on out in front of you. About 30 feet in each direction.
He just has a bout of madness and does that.
What are you doing?
And this place is, think of like almost a cylinder that you've walked into the side of. It's massive, probably over 50 feet wide, the cylinder. Because you realize now how deep you are. When you worked your way from the kind of night market area through the sewer to the sewers, you were slowly descending.
Is there like the cylinder goes up and down a lot?
It's curved and heads out each direction.
Oh, okay. So not up and down, like left to right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And the light only goes out about 30 feet.
Okay.
Either direction. It looks like they're, motion activated lights for most likely some sort of maintenance for whatever this place is. And you're standing on a lip, if that makes sense.
I lent Bugbear my drone.
I look left and I look right. I say, which way do we go?
You're thinking how useful that drone would be right now.
It'd be great.
Mister walks into the hallway and he sniffs. Air smells fresher to the right.
His voice echoes all the way down.
It does.
I start walking right.
You begin walking along the lip of this area. What you see it's very industrial. There are huge CNC parts that are kind of glommed on to this circular passageway. When you get to, you've been walking maybe 3 minutes, you come to a ring. It's kind of a concentric ring inside of this tunnel. And it's held by supports. So it's kind of located in the middle. And you can walk right by it. It seems to continue on.
I stop. I take a look at it. Is there any sort of track, any means by which a vehicle could move through this tube?
If something was wheeled, it would fit on this lip. The lip is probably about 8 feet wide.
I take out my agent, and I have an app that is a protractor.
Okay.
And I hold it up to the wall, and I run it along the wall as I walk, maybe, 5-10 meters. I want to see if there's any sort of curvature in the path that we're walking.
You are walking in a slight curved circle.
I say, so we're in a giant donut?
Kind of. I do some calculations in my head on my agent. How large would this circle have to be to complete?
Over a mile.
I look back at that machinery that's hanging.
Is it a weapon?
Or an engine? A weapon first.
It's one damn big weapon.
It started in Europe a long time ago. They were speeding up tiny particles and smashing them together, create new things, new atoms, new chemicals, new compounds.
What company?
CERN. It was a government agency, a lot of governments actually, but that technology didn't go away. It's just the corpos have it now. Arasaka would be, if I had to guess, one. But this is enormous.
Well, if you're right, Switch, we need to get some proof of it and get it over to Baron.
We need to find a control center, something.
Yeah, we were supposed to bring the technology. I don't think we can really carry this out of here.
No, but the information that's here, the schematics, the mechanical readouts, any research that they did here, I mean, you're talking about a weapon. You're talking about if the corpos had this, man. I don't know who Baron's working for, but he's already lining up buyers for whatever this is, and it's a lot of eddies.
I don't understand. What can it do?
It can create. It can destroy.
Fuck, Troom, you sound like you got a goddamn chubby going on. Jesus, fuck, I don't understand anything you're saying.
This stuff, I didn't think anyone worked on this stuff anymore. You know, the collaboration between nations across the planet. You know, everyone's concerned about their own little pocket of Night City, and they forget about this stuff that's down here.
So is there like a control room or something?
Probably. And he points to the right, and then he points to the left, and he shrugs.
Let's find it.
Guess we walk faster. It's only a mile, right?
You guys pass that ring, and pretty close to it is a terminal of some sort.
Okay.
It's the first one you've seen. It's probably in relation to that ring that you just passed. It says Sector 6 on it, and there is, again, a kind of low power mode or source that seems to be pushing into this system.
Well, there you go, Switch. Why don't you work your magic, earn your keep?
He thinks about patience again, but then he's like, fuck it. And he jacks in. He pulls a cord from just behind his ear and just like zzz, and then plugs in.
You're in pretty quickly. The low power setting is asking for some pretty basic security clearance. It looks like almost the equivalent of an ID badge swipe.
Okay.
You want to roll either computers or security for me?
I'll do security.
Okay.
Maybe I pull some information from that. I had some information from that keypad that I grabbed up front.
Sure.
Something like the last badge to come in, 27.
Doesn't take you long. Again, this system is over 20 years old. And so a lot of the stuff is like really basic for you. And this terminal is a maintenance terminal. There's maps. There is some pretty basic security footage of some of the other areas. Not all of those cameras are on, but there are a few, mostly of other sectors 1 through 5. And they all seem to be of the tunnel, nowhere else.
Can I take control of some of those motion detectors and the motion detecting lights and change the delay on them to 30 seconds?
Sure.
From when they turn on to when they go into they turn off and go into a rest mode again.
Yep.
Cover our tracks a little bit.
I'm just thinking about cybersecurity and 20 years like in the past. For me to get into something 20 years old is like basically like there are scripts that do it for freezies.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think he says like, man, this stuff is old. Part of me thinks that they didn't expect anyone to get in here who wasn't authorized. All these security systems are basic. You can just reboot and you're in.
You're making a couple of cursory changes, all basic programming, and you come across a list of maintenance sectors. And there's one called the focal room, which is kind of stands out as something other than the sectors for the
Tunnel.
Yes. It's labeled SC as Super Collider.
We're not alone.
What do you mean?
That's deep, man. That's real deep.
Is it the ghosts?
Switch is like his brain right now is you can hear the whizzing that's going on out from behind his head.
I thought you meant down his leg.
Almost half a dozen mercs in Militech.
What? How do you know that?
I saw them come in.
They follow us in?
I don't know.
On the cameras? You saw them on the cameras?
They're halfway around right now.
Let's get moving. Go, go, go. Come on.
They're probably 15 minutes behind you.
Which way's the control room?
He keeps pointing straight on the path that we're going.
All right, let's go. I start running.
You guys are begin running kind of a light jog at the moment, and within a few minutes, you come across kind of this sprawling area of debris. It looks like maybe a parking garage, an underground parking garage collapsed and has landed kind of in this hallway. You can see the vehicles of the Onizuka company kind of amongst debris. You're pretty sure you can find a way through, but you're definitely a long way down underground.
So this is interrupting the tube.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. You kind of have to slide down.
Yep.
And start looking for other ways through.
As we're doing that, as we're climbing through, I say, "So, Switch, is this like junk then? If this thing's collapsed, I mean, or are we just looking for specs so that someone can make their own?"
It's not even the specs. I mean, I think they know how to make this, but whatever they were doing down here, maybe they discovered something. Any of the tests that they did, the information that would yield is incredibly valuable. These things take years to make, but I mean, any decent sized corpo could buy a plot of land and put one of these together above ground. Trick is keeping it out of the sight of other people.
Yuri is kind of bounding ahead up this collapsed parking garage that as we kind of slide down the bottom and then start climbing up this, he's just kind of poking his head between each lane, each car, trying to see if there's any way through. He's pretty adept at traversing broken ground and all that, so it doesn't take him long.
I say, I kind of jump. I go, I look in one of the cars, kind of wipe the grime off, and you see a skeleton inside.
There are bodies in these vehicles. It looks like they were trying to probably get out. Maybe when they heard about the attack. You think that this is probably all around that same time as that pocket nuke going off at Arasaka.
I say all these cars are 20 years old or more.
Any of them have any badges on them?
Probably. I open one up, one of the cars.
Yeah, they're a lanyard around his neck, or their neck. Hard to tell now. You kind of just pull it off. The skeleton actually ends up kind of collapsing as you tug on it.
I say, Crom.
But this is all sort of large pieces of structure, and the vehicles kind of pin different parts of it. So while it's a lot of weight that's fallen, it's pretty easy to traverse for the most part.
Over here, through here, I think this is the way past.
I look up.
It's just more and more debris. It looks like there's probably a whole building somewhere up there.
What's our plan? I mean, are we trying to just stay ahead of these guys and get whatever we can and get out of here? Because if we're gonna have to fight them, this might be a good spot. I mean, Yuri can get up there, get a good angle. We can use these cars as cover.
I was thinking that, I mean, depending on how long it takes us to get information, we could go around the other way and hopefully avoid any kind of confrontation. But
They're behind us. It's one way in, one way out.
That's a circle, isn't it?
Yeah, but to walk back, we'd have to pass through them. And these dudes looked serious.
well, we just keep walking in the circle then.
I'm no good in a fight, and I don't know how long this will take. I mean, the infrastructure here, the security systems, the programs aren't sophisticated, but there might be some archaic programming in the central computers. I don't know how long it'll take. If you want to fight, I'll fight.
How much further past here is the room?
Couple of zones, 5 minutes.
Well, let's get there and then assess. And if we need to fight them, then we'll come back here while you hack the system.
Yuri sets a timer on his agent for like 10 minutes, basically.
Okay.
And then says, okay, let's go.
You guys, again, kind of start in a light jog now at the bottom of this cylindrical chamber that you're running through. And you get to this juncture where almost if you imagine like a very generic number 9, where there's a circle at the top and then a line that just touches the side of it and runs off, so to speak. You guys kind of pivot and take that sharp angle off of the circle. You begin to see more of those rings. They start to appear more frequently from, every 100 feet to like every 50 feet. And they're concentric. They're getting smaller, kind of like it's funneling something to the point that you're moving towards. And then as you've been going down this now another 3 or 4 minutes, the scale of this place is huge. You kind of see almost like a strobe flicker pass back down towards you. Down, it must be out in front of you somewhere, and you can't see the source of the light, but you see that kind of a bright white light that kind of flickers and then stops. And it's very intermittent. There doesn't seem to be any sort of regular pattern to it.
Was that a ghost?
Maybe. Maybe it's one of their team headed around the other way.
Oh, we're in like a side passage now. They couldn't be ahead of us unless this loops around and meets back up.
They might have found another way in. I don't know who else knows about this place, but it can't be just Baron.
We'll stay here. I'm going to check this out. Yuri's going to slip into like the side of this tunnel into any darkness he can and try to sneak up on whatever this light is.
You jog 2 minutes tops, and you're pretty light on your feet, and you realize that the light is just flickering through another collapsed area. So there's, it's not as complete as the other one. So there's right up at the top, there's a free way through, and that's where some of this light seems to be escaping to your side of the tunnel. If you imagine this debris, this collapse, and that light flickers back to you. And again, sometimes it takes a minute or two before you see it again. Other times it happens very kind of back to back. It seems like something is faulty, I guess. If you saw like a street light outside that wasn't working properly.
Yeah.
And every now and then it flickers on and then flickers off.
Like a discharge of sparks.
But just light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yuri kind of calls back, says, I don't think it's them. I think it's something, some facility light on the other side. Yeah, Yuri's going to clamber. After he like relays that, he's going to clamber up to the top of this pile and try to get eyes on whatever this light is.
This pile is both like concrete and again,
Steel
you see metal-
rebar and
steel rebar and things like that, but also one of the large rings that has been kind of suspended in this chamber is lying there. And as you climb over the edge and you kind of look beyond, it's a very unusual thing because it almost sears your eyes when the light actually turns on. And beyond this, on the far side, there is a kind of like a suspended honeycomb wall. And it's some sort of composite wall that's made of different shafts of some sort of material, like a rod. And it looks like, if you were to kind of align everything, that whatever was coming through these rings would pass through that wall. On the far side of that, there is a platform. You can't quite see up on top of it, but the platform is raised to the middle of this chamber. So about 20 feet up, if the chamber is about 40 feet high. There are kind of suspended platforms off of that singular area that you can't see on top of. The source of the light is probably the most perplexing, because around that platform, periodically and haphazardly, a globe of white light will just encase the entire area and then flicker off again. It almost looks like if you imagined a spherical hologram. It flits around that area and then disappears again.
That's probably exactly what we think it is. Like I say, faulty hologram.
The four of you, if we're looking from where this hologram is, and we're looking back at you, we can then see your kind of faces light up as you're kind of standing at the top of this debris pile, looking out across this area. Can everyone make perception checks for me?
Yep.
That light's really bright.
Yeah.
16.
17.
17.
The 17s, one of the things you notice is that this raised platform has these two walkways that branch off of it. Again, think of it centered where those rings are. And where those walkways terminate on the walls, it looks like there are doorways. There's some sort of viewing area maybe on either side of those doorways.
I think that's where the control room or whatever is. There's a doorway on either side of that platform. Come on.
Yeah, and we're like, we are in the spot where the experiment would happen, so this is probably not very safe.
Probably not.
We can get up to that platform and then maybe get into the viewing areas.
Yeah.
The viewing areas are probably safe. We should get to those doors.
You guys kind of tumble down the scree.
Ooh.
Good word.
You're now at the base where it looks like there's a ladder on the side of the column that will go to that platform. The light flickers again, and the whole place is illuminated and then goes black.
And that seems to be the only way to go up. Either you can't really go up the sides, it's only up through that ladder.
Correct.
Switch, is that light dangerous? Like, should we make sure not to touch it? What happens if it turns on while we're going through it?
It's already turned on while we shouldn't go. I don't know.
Only way to get to those doors.
You hear gunfire.
Shit.
Like a ways back. It's echoing back to you.
More than one team?
The hell?
That's what I was saying. Baron says that this job was out for bid.
Oh, shit.
There might be other people here.
And we left the door unlocked.
We led them here.
Well, we better hurry up.
Yeah. Yuri starts climbing the ladder.
Okay.
I think about the guy who sold us the weapons, who had the Militech stuff. And now there's fucking dudes in Militech walking towards us, and I silently curse him.
You look at your weapons for a second, like thinking, "What he's like? He doesn't really know you from from anyone." But Yuri, you hit the bottom of the deck, so to speak.
Yeah.
You throw the door open and you climb up on top.
Yep.
There are two ways to either side of the platform. The rest of you following?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
As you kind of all climb out on top of the platform, your flashlights are kind of illuminating the area. You kind of have these retina burns of what this room looks like every time you close your eyes because of that strobe effect. Now, what you see sitting on this platform, it looks like 3 tables turned upright, and there are very clearly restraints on them.
The fuck are they doing in here? All right, Choom, let's get to those control panels, pull something out, and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
The room flashes bright white.
Are we like inside that now?
Yep. You're standing on the platform, which is sort of the center of...
So we're in that globe of light.
Mm-hmm. And then it shuts off again.
Let's get out of this thing.
Switch is like squeezing his eyes closed.
Entertain me for a second. If your mind were to wander, where would it wander to, Surratt? Right now with all this stress.
Entertain him, Jake.
He's thinking of a famous painting
Mm-hmm.
of hell.
Okay.
And there's this image in that painting of this guy with a beard biting a person in half. It's Dante's Inferno.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Where did Surratt see that painting?
I think he saw it on not like a brain dance, but like a fake one, basically,
Mm-hmm.
of like a tour of a museum, like before, in the past, like in the 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't see it in real life, but he saw it in like a VR setting, basically.
Okay. The 3 of you are kind of looking at these 2 doors as to which way to go. You realize Surratt's not there.
Rat? Hey, anyone see where he went? Shit.
Switch is like blinking. He's holding his hands up, trying to like shade his eyes, but he's just like blinking and looking around. Come on, the door.
The strobe effect is pretty severe. It again, it's just giving you a headache, but right now the 3 of you are standing there and Surratt is gone.
Yuri goes back to where the ladder is and kind of looks over the edge to see if he went back down or something.
This happened in less than a second. There's no way he could be anywhere than standing with the 3 of you.
What the fuck is going
Jake.
on?
Surratt is standing right in front of that terminal he used to brain dance and look at that painting of Dante's Inferno.
I imagine it's like the art gallery, not 9,000. You know what I mean? It's like
It's super simple. It's on. It's actually like 2 blocks over from the school you went to.
Yep.
It's over in Beavertown.
I kind of like run a hand across like the control panel for it, and just to see if I can like feel it.
You touch it.
And then I look up at like the sun and like feel like the warmth of the sunlight. And I kind of look around like looking for people.
There are all sorts of people. No one seems to have noticed that you're here because you're just here.
I say, Yuri?
As soon as you say Yuri and you're thinking about where you were, you're saying Yuri in that chamber. He's standing right next to you guys.
What the fuck? Choom.
All right. Hey, there he is.
I just had I'm tripping, guys. I don't know if I had like a
you were
a
gone.
relapse, like a brain freeze. I don't know.
You weren't here.
Yeah, I was gone. Like what do you No, I know. Yeah, like I think I had a hallucination.
No. Well, maybe we all did, but you weren't in the. Come on, switch. Let's go. And he runs out of the container and towards one of the rooms. Doesn't really matter which one.
I follow him. I say, get out. We got to get out of this. It's messing with my mind.
This strobe light, Mister, is making you think of another time you were looking at flashing lights. Where was it?
Probably playing some VR game and getting flashbanged.
You are standing in the old apartment where your dad used to live. The three of you are running across the causeway, and Mister is gone.
Mister, where'd he go?
This strobe is going to make us blind. Let's go.
Mister is gone. Now you, Switch, are at the door. Again, outdated tech. You think you can have it open in a minute or two?
I start like feeling around. I'm still like blinking like furiously. That I can feel the heat from my implants, like sort of like giving me like a headache. It's like the sides of my temples. I can feel like they're throbbing as I go to work on this terminal.
Mister, you can hear someone in another room of the apartment. They're speaking Spanish. Sounds like they're on their phone.
Mister's gonna yell out, "Who the fuck's in here?"
You see someone kind of hesitantly poke their head out from what was your bedroom, and it's a Spanish woman, and she starts screaming in Spanish.
Mister's gonna pull out Jane and Fonda and point him at her and yell, "How the fuck did you get in my dad's fucking apartment?"
She's just screaming. And she's like got her hands up and she's yelling into, she's trying to yell on her phone, and she clearly doesn't speak English.
Is there anything else going on in the apartment?
No, it doesn't look, the furniture is all different.
Mrs. Confused, and he doesn't do confused very well. He's gonna walk back or like stomp back towards the front door of the apartment and like rip the door open to see what the fuck is going on and how we got here.
On the other side is the familiar hallway you used to go down to go to school.
Same apartment number?
Same apartment number, everything.
The fuck? Just gonna walk back into the apartment, walk up to the screaming woman and grab the phone out of her hand.
She's crying at this point, and she lets you take it from her.
He's going to hang up on whoever she was on the phone with and start dialing. He probably dial Sir Rat's number.
As soon as you start to dial Sir Rat, you think of Sir Rat, then you think of whenever you last saw him, and then you are there on the causeway with the rest of them again.
Do I get a phone call?
You get a phone call, and he's standing next to you with someone's phone.
Hello? Hello?
You hear the echo.
He's gonna like look, be like, "What the fuck?
Where'd you go?"
But fucking dad's house. I've been there 20 fucking years of fucking I got her fucking phone.
You were really there. I like tapped the phone. It was real.
The fuck do you mean it was real? What the fuck?
Are you
Are
you guys fucking teleporting there?
I was on the street. I was at a VR kiosk. I had been thinking about this painting and this place and then I was there at the kiosk where I saw it.
Your bio brains are getting fried. Here. And I
Make a security check for me.
17.
While you're you say that over your shoulder as you're working, you guys hear punk, punk, punk. And Yuri, you're very familiar with this sound. These are gas canisters. They're being shot through that opening where all of the debris is. You can see that there's someone up there who's just tried to fill this chamber with gas. There's about 4 of them right now hissing into this room.
Shit. They just shot gas at us. Let's get in that room. Hurry up. Seal it off.
Dan, I think really hard about a store called Big Al's Survival Megastore.
Yep. You're there.
I grab gas masks
Okay. You start running through the corridors.
and I'm like laughing hysterically.
You're running. You're like looking at the aisles. You're trying to find. You see an aisle that says prepper on it.
yes.
You grab 4 right off the shelf.
And then I say, Mister.
You think about Mister, and you teleport back. You see the 3 of them have all passed out. You're standing on there alone now with these gas masks.
I start putting the masks on them.
You see
And myself, obviously.
laser trails coming through the gas as people are coming up over the debris field. You're trying to put the gas masks on them. And as you kind of fit one over Mister first, you look up just in time as you see a gun butt hit you in the head and your vision goes.
Shit.
All of you open your eyes. The Baron is removing a brain dance data chip. He's bleeding above one eye, or one of you pistol whipped him, because none of you are Yuri, Switch, Surrat, or Mister. You are 4 edge runners who are hunting these men that they call the 4 Horsemen. They've escaped a maximum security facility of Militech, and there's a bounty big enough to be the last score. So they say. And that's where we're going to end.
Hell yeah.
Dope.
Thank you for listening to Red Rising, a cyberpunk misadventure. Of course, we are forever grateful if you can leave us a review, or if you have a chance, share our stories with others, whether it's on socials, subreddits, a bullhorn, or a whispered secret. Check out our website for all your burning questions and eager updates. And don't forget, we have a separate D&D podcast because we're super nerds. Our intro music was a Wilhelm Scream. The theme song is Neon Drifter by Antti Martikainen. All scores by Antti Martikainen and Data Soundscapes. Their YouTube channel is Spacewave CR. Check them out. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, hack the planet.
That's nasty.